Behind these doors is a collection of cars unlike any other, a who's who of the best hypercars in the world. Today you join me here in Denmark at the Selected Car Collection and a world's first exclusive opportunity to bring a camera through the doors to go and take a look around at some of the best cars in the entire world. We are quite literally going to be sliding in, which you shall see shortly, here at the house of Selected Car Group, and I can't wait to bring you along. This is about to be very special when we head inside. Coming up, we're going to be taking a look at some incredible cars, including the Ferraris with the Big Five and many more. Some extraordinary track hypercars, the likes of which I'm standing right between. Also, a few cars that I'm lucky to own myself that feature within this collection, plus plenty more from the likes of Aston Martin, Bugatti, Koenigsegg, and so much more to see as we take a look around. But before we do that, I didn't really know what to expect today, visiting this inter-house of a whole host of different facilities. For example, conference rooms, there's a health and sports club, there's Selected Car Leasing with their own lineup, Selected Car Investment with even further cars, and of course, the Selected Car Collection that we're going to go and take a look around. But you're greeted immediately by a brand new Lamborghini Huracan Sturato in the display right behind. You get the point for where this is going. In the collection, we're going to be treated to cars like an incredibly rare McLaren Senna LM. That is just one of many that we're going to be able to take a look at, along with a host of different bits of memorabilia and things that I always love to explore. Plus, beside me here is the Zenvo TSRS, the first one I rode in prior to purchasing one myself. And it's great to see that, along with a number of other cars that I want to recount some personal stories as we explore around. We are about to have a phenomenal visit. Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome today to the Selected Car Collection. We enter to Selected Car Leasing. Now I need to explain a little bit about being here in Denmark and what that means in terms of cars. But here we have a line of premium high-end cars, Mercedes, Audi, BMW, even some Porsches. Because here in Denmark, effectively, there is a 150% tax on luxury vehicles, in addition to the 25% VAT. So cars like you can see here, the AMG GT Roadster, 911, even a GT3 Touring beyond, are actually more frequently beneficial to purchase via leasing. It makes a lot more sense here than in many other countries, which is a big part of this business. So for example, you have the DBS Superleggera, 650S Spider, even a 911 Turbo S exclusive series. But come on further through, because this very much feels like walking into a lounge. It's an amazing venue, stunning setup. We actually have one car here from the collection, the 355 Challenge, which is a little bit separate from some of the others, but surrounded by Porsches, surrounded by something interesting here. I'm about to be sliding through to our next stop, but as we come through, I mean the 911 convertibles, Portofino, California T, 488 Spider, Bentley Continental, DBX, some amazing cars that are here as part of Selected Car Leasing. But I want to bring you this way. Come through with me, because this is the first to literally slide into a collection, to slide into showing you a little bit more of what's in store. So yeah, let's do it. Let me hop on in. I'm going to slide on down. Down we go. And just like that, I have slid into the car collection beside a 488 Spider and a little Lotus, plus also, check this out, a nice 360 in Giallo Modena, 360 Modena in Giallo Modena. Now down here are some more of the cars, plus the preparation area, where currently they're doing some detailing, and even have very kindly cleaned up my AMG GT Black Series, which is spinning on the turntable ready for our onwards adventures. But I want to come and show you the Selected Car Investment area. Cars that are of course all about investing, looking towards their future value, and another part of the overall business. Everywhere I look, there are nice cars. The GLE 63 AMG, check out this beautiful 993 Turbo. That is stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. But come through this way, past the likes of an F12 Berlinetta, there is an Aston Martin Vanquish Zagato shooting brake, one of only 99. Come through as well, because these give a small hint as to some of the things we might be seeing shortly. Inside here, some more amazing cars. In fact, Love the Giulia GT-AM. Those are very nice. We've got a Viola Ophelia Murcielago LP640. That's a very retro colour, but I've always thought it looks stunning. Testarossa, 512 BBI, Lagonda Taraf. That's also very, very rare. Viper, Daytona, just some amazing cars that are part of different divisions. But I want to take you to go see the main thing we're here for. It is time then to bring you for a tour, and normally cameras are not permitted in here. This is a very, very special moment to bring you along for a look around the likes of an Aston Martin Vulcan in bright pearlescent green. There are only 24 of these in the world. Next to it, another V12 track hypercar, track only, exclusive, limited to 30, the Pagani Huayra R. But that's just the start of the different areas we're about to go and visit. A one-by-one look at the selected car collection. Let's do this. Let's dig in. If you are a fan of bright red cars from Maranello, Italy, you're in for a treat as we walk past the famous Big Five. We're going to be coming back through the cars and all of their history in a moment, but I want to come and show you something arguably even rarer than what you see here, and that is this, a 333 SP, the sports prototype that Ferrari developed with Dallara in the 90s. They made 40 or so cars in total, with the final cars being built by Michelotto. 27 of those went racing, but you don't see these in collections very often. Another car developed originally for motorsport is the 288 GTO. The GTO badge from the 250 GTO and all of its success. This was originally developed for Group B racing. With the series no longer happening, Ferrari further developed it, built just over 300 customer cars and put them on the road. And in fact, many parts of that were then shared by one of the most iconic Ferraris of all time, the F40. With its distinct wedge shape, about 1,300 cars built in total, and one of the famous things with it is the carbon fibre bodywork and a very thin layer of paint, so you can actually see the weave, if you look closely, right up to the paintwork on it. My favourite of all time though, the F50. One of 349 in total, and all of these in Rosso Corsa, the more curvaceous look to the car, but again with a fixed wing. And in fact, the F40 and F50 were Ferrari's last production road cars to have fixed wings until the very recently introduced SF90XX, Stradale and Spider. But everything about this V12 derived from Formula One, removable roof panel, gated manual gearbox, absolutely phenomenal. The Enzo, the car that wore the name of the founder of the company himself. 399 cars originally. They did go on to make a 400th for the Pope, as it happens. Again, a V12. Such distinct and unique looks. A very special thing, and again, very different to the next in the lineup, the LaFerrari. And this particular car in a pearlescent red paintwork looks stunning, with the optional carbon roof as well, of which not all that many had. One of 499 coupes. Again, they did make a 500th, and in fact they also made 199 Apertas originally for customers and a few more for marketing purposes, so a little over 200 in total of their first hybrid, the LaFerrari. This is different though. The first Icona series car, the Monza. The Icona series being about invoking Ferrari's history, the 750 Monza in this case. 499 cars, this in Rosso Magma over the heritage off-white stripe, but the SP2, the two-seater. If you ordered an SP1 and customers could choose, it was not a fixed amount, you'd have a flat panel over the passenger side and no buttress at the back, and of course that made for an interesting split between the models. We then move to the SF90 Spider Assetto Fiorano. So the Fiorano package gave you Multimatic dampers for a firmer ride, more track-focused ride, and it gave you more carbon fibre inside and a larger spoiler at the back for your 1,000 horsepower hybrid Ferrari, the first series production hybrid Ferrari made. 599 GTO, one of 599, the third car to wear the GTO badge, the hardcore limited series version, the Versioni Speciale as Ferrari called them, of the 599 GTB, before they also introduced the even more limited SA Aperta, the open-top version, which was originally 80 and famously went on to be a few more than that, as these did as well, as it happens. This is a 488 Pista Pilotti. Now, the Pilotti was only available for people who participated in Ferrari's racing programs, so either full-blown GT3 cars, XX, Corsa Clienti, or taking part in the Challenge, whereby you could have this painted livery as an option to commemorate the winning position at the GT Manufacturers World Championship in 2017, the World Endurance Championship, which Ferrari won with this livery. We then have an F8 Tributo, the follow-up to the 458 and the 488, with Ferrari not having made a hardcore version like this, the Pista, the 488 Pista. And I want to come and show you this a little bit more closely, what we've got going on here. This painted tricolore stripe with the fade into the paintwork that runs through the S-duct at the front of the car, which is absolutely stunning. This is something I've always really liked. The 458 Speciale A for Aperta, open in Italian, one of 499. This paint is Giallo Triplo Strato. And come and take a closer look, like on the buttress, you can see the blue tinted carbon fibre that it has there, along with the interior also featuring a lot of satin blue exposed carbon and being a limited Ferrari. What more could you want? 4.5 litre naturally aspirated V8 screaming away while you drive in something as stunning as this with all of the blue tint carbon around the outside as well. Here, these are unusual. I'm sure you're familiar with the 360 Challenge Stradale, but what you're probably not familiar with is what you're looking at here. And in fact, the two cars are actually in different colours. That's Rosso Corsa, that I believe is Rosso Scuderia. But these are two out of the 25 in total that were made for the Japanese importer celebrating their 25th anniversary, the Cornez edition. Now, on the face of it, familiar 360 Challenge Stradale, until you come around towards the back, where there is one very distinct visual giveaway, which is that the grille across the back is actually white, as opposed to the standard black. On the inside is actually another little detail to come and show you, which is really quite special, to be honest. And in fact, if you come through and take a look at this, on the door card, you actually have the signature of Michael Schumacher himself written on there, and a few other things on the interior of it also. Really cool, interesting thing. 2 out of the 25 are right here. Things that you wouldn't normally expect to come across. Next comes the Koenigsegg Jesko, one of 125 of the cars, named after Christian von Koenigsegg's father, in fact. The Jesko here was one of the first to be delivered, and currently it has auto skin activated, where at the press of a button, you can open up with motors all of the different panels, revealing, for example, the engine back here, the 5-litre twin-turbo V8, absolutely immense performance from this thing. I've been lucky to drive a couple of them. Very, very special. In fact, pretty much everything the Swedish hypercar manufacturers produce ticks those boxes. One of 125 from Ängelholm in Sweden. We come here though, past the Aston Martin Vulcan. Very much a race car cloaked in the finest road car materials. Luxury interior, but still an absolute brute. In fact, when you look at the length of the front end of the bonnet of this particular car and the paint colour of it, it stands out a mile away. Side exit exhaust, of course, as well. The Pagani Huayra R, one of a number of Paganis, so stay tuned for what's coming from this location, but the full exposed carbon fibre of the 1 of 30 track version of the Pagani Huayra. In fact, quite a few components for what we now know as Utopia were introduced and tested on this, or you could look at it the other way around, using the race platform to test out new features for the road cars that go into the future generations, but carbotanium, Tarb, full carbon fibre bodywork, and of course, absolutely stunning looks, as Horacio Pagani is famed for doing. This is quite unusual. The Ferrari F40 LM. There are more cars from Maranello to come. Now, many an F40 over the years have been converted to one of a variety of different racing derivatives that they had. There are only 19 of these though, and yes, this is an original F40 LM, and it looks amazing. In fact, next to it over here is actually a 488 GTE that raced at Le Mans in 2022. This made it to the podium, coming third in class, this exact car, and perhaps some hints as to what's joining in the future as well with the artworks up on the wall. We continue the Italian theme though with the Lamborghini Murcielago SV wearing the tricolore stripe. 350 of these. Perhaps they didn't quite build all of them. The number is often disputed, but one of my favourite Lamborghinis in the entire world. We then have the Koenigsegg Regera, Koenigsegg's direct drive, the car with no gearbox, one of only 80 in total that they actually made, and this car now finished in the jet black paintwork with the exposed carbon fibre stripes and the light contrast interior. Two cars close to my heart, two cars you find in my own collection, the SLS AMG Black Series. I'm interested to know actually how many of these they made. They never confirmed the number. I believe it to be somewhere between 400 and 500. Maybe one day we shall find out. The GT Black Series, similarly unknown, but the interesting thing with this car is it features the Project 1 Edition livery. The famous stars for the Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team painted on the bodywork and only available to future owners of the AMG 1. So no surprises for guessing what might be coming. We then have the Porsche 918 Spyder, Porsche's corner of the Holy Trinity from a decade or so ago, 918 cars. This particular example finished in a traditional silver paintwork, before another of the Black Series, the SL65 AMG Black Series, the rarest, well, technically that title goes to the SLK originally, but the rarest of the globally available Black Series models. Very, very aggressive looks with these wide arches, bi-turbo V12, but a slightly funny one to actually drive. Another car very close to my heart, the new Ford GT. This is actually a carbon series with the exposed carbon fibre stripes down the bodywork. We now know it's about 1,300, 1,400 or so cars in total, but this matching with its predecessor, the 100th anniversary celebration that Ford introduced of the company, reaching its 100th anniversary, quite literally. And in fact, even in the headlight, if you've never seen that before, the 100 with the lights inside there. Once you've seen it, you shall never miss it. And I like the matching specifications of those two cars before we come to the Zenvo TSRS. The first of the TSRSs, of only 10 to be made in total. Mine is car number 4 of those. But this one I remember filming when it was launched at the Geneva Motor Show way back when. I got to ride in with the company founder, Troels Volotson, as well during Top Marks Monaco one year, and have seen it at a number of different shows, in fact, including on visits to the factory when I was out speccing up my car also. Next to it is a McLaren Senna LM. Now, these are very unusual. Effectively, after the Sennas, McLaren made a couple of different versions, the Senna GTR for track driving, and the Senna LM that you see here, plus the Senna Can-Am. There are 20 LMs, only 3 Can-Ams, which are only for Canada, but full Papaya Spark paintwork. All of the parts like this that would normally be in tinted carbon fibre, sorry, regular carbon fibre, exposed carbon fibre, are now painted in body colour. You have the LM logo there on the end plate and the way that that's done with the satin effect. You have a different exhaust system back there, the quad exhaust. You also have different wheels reminiscent of the McLaren F1 GTRs from when they raced at Le Mans. These louvres over the front arches and a few other details and things that stand out to make those different to all of the rest. As you have seen, kudos, because the cars are all on CTEK smart chargers, as I use also at the Schmuseum, because if you have something like this, you need to make sure the battery is topped up and doing what it should. It's always fun to see. I mean, just look at the interior here of the Koenigsegg Jesko. This is amazing. I really like the gold diamond stitching of the seats to match with the exterior colorway, the gold twin stripe that it has over the top of the gloss black paint. We move next to some Aston Martins, starting with this, the V12 Speedster in Arden Green. There's a bit of a theme to the cars coming up. It's one of only 88 V12 Speedsters that Aston Martin made, also joining this open-top Barchetta driving format style like the Ferrari Monza and McLaren Elva. In the case of this car, you have that bridge that runs between the driver and passenger towards these buttresses with the window exposing the helmets within, should you wish to drive with those to protect your face while you're open to the elements. But powered by the 5.2-litre twin-turbocharged V12 that we knew at the time from the DB11 that they shoehorned into the slightly shorter Vantage platform, and an engine that is also shared with this, the DBS 770 Ultimate Volante, the final edition of the DB11 and DBS platform before the DB12 arrived, confusingly with a V8 going down from 12 to 8 cylinders, so very much a collectible, the last of that era, as well as the V12 Vantage Coupe, one of 333 with the full exposed carbon fibre bonnet, and its matching sibling, the V12 Vantage Roadster, one of 250 that Aston Martin made, again with that V12 engine shoehorned into the smaller car and a lot of fun to drive. Now this is quite an unusual and rare car, the Vantage AMR 59, which pays tribute to Aston Martin's success at Le Mans back in 1959 when they won it, and in fact painted in the colourway of their more recent contenders, the sterling green with the lime essence accents. We've then got a car very close to my heart, the Aston Martin Vantage GT8. Of course, one of the most famous of the Schmeemobiles, limited to 150 cars. This car in black on black with the optional carbon fibre roof as well. Not currently wearing its extended front splitters, but with all of the different carbon parts. And is it a manual inside? Yes, of course. It has the 6-speed manual. They were also available with the Sport Shift paddles, but the majority of people did indeed go with the manual. Plus, it has the very rare center lock upgrade wheels. That, however, is one of my favorite cars of all time, the Aston Martin 177. And a fun fact about this particular car is I actually filmed it 12 years ago. I saw this car driving through Casino Square in Monaco back in summer 2012, to now be reunited with it, one of only 77 cars, and I've always liked that nod, 77 of these, 88 then of the V12 Speedsters, which is just stunning. One of Marek Reichmann's most proud moments, I think. The rule of thirds, the whole shape, golden ratio of the design of this, just beautiful. And we see some of this front end design as well in the new Vantage with these wider intakes towards the sides that it wears. If we sneak back through though, don't think I'm not mentioning this, the Bugatti Chiron Supersport. Following on from the, well, EB110 Supersport and the Veyron Supersport, Bugatti followed the philosophy with the Chiron. This car also features the optional Skyview roof panels, but the Supersport, famous for its extended tail, you can see notably the bodywork here, the way it heads back, powered again by this 1600 horsepower, 8-litre quad-turbo W16 engine, which has of course recently been announced will not be continuing beyond the Mistral, which comes next, into the new model. That will in fact be a V16, but not specifically limited for the Supersport by a specific number. Bugatti very much allowing customers to choose what they wish to order, and I've got to say all the details on here, the familiar nods to the earlier cars, very, very, very nicely done, and one of a number of Bugattis that feature as part of the Selected Car collection. Another Bugatti Chiron here in the collection. This is actually one of the earlier cars, I believe. The dual tone interior, in fact we've actually got this tinted blue carbon rear section behind the C, and the pale blue at the front looks really, really lovely. But behind it is another blue car, a very different blue car. This is an MC12 Corsa. Now somehow I found myself driving one of these at some point, taking the sister car to the Enzo and taking it to the racetrack, effectively the customer version of the GT1 MC12s that Maserati raced with at the time. An utterly bonkers machine. I mean, even this, the road-going MC12, is a bonkers machine to begin with. The majority of the cars had this pearlescent white paint with the navy blue lower sections and stripes, and rear of the car as well. There were actually only 50 of them in total, effectively an Enzo underneath, but with different bodywork, longer, even crazier, and just a ridiculous machine in every single possible way. Also with a removable roof panel, so in some ways it was the convertible or Aperta of the Enzo. Next to that we have a pair of 360 race cars. Throwing it back, these actually raced at Le Mans, I believe, as well, about 20 years or so ago, and in fact this 911 was its Le Mans class winner back at the race in 2000, hence it also has all of the decorative information and things to go with it, plus the trophy worn proudly on the top in front of the G63 4x4 squared that lurks right behind. But that is quite a fun thing to add into this collection. If I spin round from where I am, a brand new Pagani Utopia. There will be 100 Utopia coupes. This has very recently been delivered. The traditional Pagani exposed blue carbon. I'm going to pop open at the door very quickly. I was recently at the Pagani Atelier in Italy to take a look at the production. This car is fitted with the automated manual gearbox. It's an interesting topic of discussion because a manual is available, but a lot of the earlier customers have gone with the automated manual because they feel that's how the car was built, that's how the car was originally produced, very much the idea behind the Huayra before. But it's amazing to see the Utopias, and as I actually discussed and spec'd for my dream car to have this split with the lower sections in a different colour to the upper sections to help with the design and just improve and add another dimension to it. Next to it, of course, is the Huayra, one of the original 100 Huayras. In fact, the last car to leave the factory, and it came factory fitted with the Parquetto Tempesta, the Tempesta package, the upgrade package that was made available with new wheels, exhaust, and some aero elements for this. Just look at the work of art that is the rear of this Pagani Huayra. However, I'm coming on through because a big car that I'm sure many people would like to see is this, the Pagani Zonda F. There were 25 Zonda Fs. I believe I have actually seen this car before around a decade or so ago in Germany at the time, but the Fs all had manual gearboxes. We've got the white paint and the exposed red carbon fibre for some of the rear sections, the blue leather of the interior, and just the icon really that is the Pagani Zonda. Needs very, very little by way of explanation. So we've got the triple Paganis and then the third of the Holy Trinity, the McLaren P1, 375 cars. And this is actually a car that started its life in the United Kingdom. I remember filming it at the Dream Car event at Croft back in 2016. It was part of the lineup on display at that particular event. So it's amazing to again be reunited with another legend of the automotive world in the form of the McLaren P1 that is here with many of these other great cars. One of my personal favourites is the Ferrari Daytona SP3, the second of the Icona series cars, one of 599, effectively purely the V12 combustion engine, similar in some ways to the LaFerrari, but without the hybrid setup. That, however, is not all, because I want to show you something else, and we walk past, in the meantime, the McLaren 675 LT Coupe, one of the 500 original LT Coupes, because we're going to access the safe. We're going to head into the vault. If I open this up, the door slides, and come on through with me, because when it comes to automotive memorabilia, special things, to see the different artworks that represent the cars that, well, some of which we've seen, some of which aren't necessarily here or have departed in the meantime, and then entering here. This is truly spectacular. The different items, for example, this is the key box for the Koenigsegg Jesko, which I actually need to show in more detail at some point. Some of the model cars, some of the different things that are on display. Is that a Pagani Huayra R pedal box on the shelf there? Absolutely stunning. Also, the first time I've seen this, Ferrari's new endurance book, a limited book, only 99 copies, a nacre duct on the outside, carbon fibre box. If I open this up, it follows on from Opus, the previous piece, and inside the book, and I don't even want to touch it because it's so special, that takes you through some of Ferrari's motorsport history. And this is the type of thing that's just, I mean, it's kind of priceless. It's a really, really nice thing to behold. Not only that though, come over this way, a few other things just on display. I mean, I can look at each and every one of these. Hey look, the Ford GT ordering kit box that goes with the car, of course, which I'm lucky to have as well. Up above, the Valkyrie Spider model. So many more amazing, amazing things that adorn these shelves. Could spend a lot of time just taking a look in here, to be honest, just checking out what's on display here alone. And nowhere would be complete without a racing simulator. Speaking of which, I need to come up with a solution like that, plus a collection of limited edition Ducati motorcycles. I have to be honest, I'm not a #1 expert when it comes to different motorbikes, but I certainly appreciate that these have a story in the same way the cars do, the link to Ducati and motorsport, MotoGP, racing, and creating limited edition special bikes. And always in car collections, you tend to find these types of things, in fact, even signed there in the center as well. Just the added details, the icing on the cake of the Panigale V4, limited to only 260, that particular example. There is actually one more Ferrari lurking just here, a 488 Pista Spider, which, by the way, is in blue electrico, the same color as my SF90 Stradale. I could talk for hours and hours, if not days, about the different specifications and colours of just about every car here. The engines, performance figures, data, details, the number of them all. This is literally my dreamland when it comes to going through these kinds of cars, modern supercars, modern hypercars. And this is without doubt one of the finest collections of these types of cars in the entire world. And what's incredible, which I haven't actually mentioned yet, is that these are cars that are driven and used. Yes, of course, there is a collection nature, there is an investment nature, but there is also enjoyment. And there's going to be some fun to come, because let's just say not every car is actually here. In fact, maybe some 90s British cars with more than 2 seats, but not as many as 4. Might exist as well, so there's plenty more still to come. And in fact, I'm really quite looking forward to returning as well, and for what I might be able to share with you. So stay tuned for all of that in the future. I tell you what an amazing house, as they call it here. The Selected Car Leasing side of things, Selected Car Investment, the whole Health and Sports Club side, and of course the Selected Car Collection that we've been able to take a look through, and even seeing the Strato out at the front earlier, and so much more. It's absolutely phenomenal. I love that the cars are used and enjoyed, but also part of this opportunity, it's an event space with a conference set of facilities, with the ability actually to use the venue and to host events in this space. But today with the special permission also to bring in the camera, and that is absolutely the cherry on the cake, the icing on the cake, the most amazing thing really, to be able to share with you what I've been able to experience today here with the team. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing sums it up. And remember, in Denmark, the leasing thing is very different to in the United States or in the United Kingdom. And so I tried to explain a little bit of that earlier on, just to make a bit more sense, because perhaps you, like me, need to get your head around it. Anyway, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone here for hosting today's visit. This has been, I have no words for it. What a place. I'll pop the link down below if you'd like to follow and see more moments of some of these cars. That's it for now though. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!